Lagos State Task Force has impounded 82 commercial motorcycles, that's Okada, for illegal operations in restricted areas, violating state traffic laws. The operation, led by CSP Adetayo Akerele, took place in Bega, Mautu, Oke, and Irele areas. Akerele emphasized that both Okada riders and passengers found breaking the law will be prosecuted. The agency remains committed to ensuring road safety, and the impounded motorcycles will be forfeited to the state government through the court. Residents are urged to follow regulations for their safety. So it's not just the Okada riders that will get into trouble if they break the law. The passengers also will bear the brunt. They will also share in this thing. And when you look at reports on how many motorcycles have been seized or whatever, you find out that it's on the high side. So what exactly is going on with motorcyclists in this part of Lagos and in other parts of Lagos who have, for one reason or the other, decided to break the law? God knows what their reasons are, but at the end of the day, they get to bear it because their vehicles are taken away from them, their cycles are taken away from them. But let's get your thoughts on this story, Ambassador.
Well, it's quite unfortunate that all these are happening, and there are factors for most of these actions, even though no reason is good enough apart from head grant to break down any law.
Okay.
If we must have a lawful and a sound society. But again, the cost, number one, most time is the users of these commercial motorcyclists, because of the lateness in appointment, sometimes because of the traffic jam, you know, and because of one reason or the other, wanting to meet up on time. And then the other aspect is also because the motorcyclists get more money when they go to risky places, because they know that this is against the law, so they charge most times because for the risks being taken. So they see it as economically viable for them. So having stated most of the reason why these things are done, of course, some of them to use the motorcycle for criminal activities because it aids criminality in a faster means. Again, why do I have to sympathize with them? For some, it's their means of livelihood. Some have families. Some, that's the only way they can survive.
Yeah. But before you start sympathizing with them, let's look at, you've talked about the reason, because my first question was, why the increase?
Yeah.
And you have pointed out some possible reasons, right? So let's also look at how exactly, what about these reasons being sorted out? You talked about the traffic situation. What about looking at the alternative routes? Because these places could be alternative routes, but the main route, what about looking at it and trying to curb some of those problems that make these motorcyclists, you know, take another route and then, you know, going down to the places where they are not supposed to go according to the law?
That's part of, I've established that sometimes is the shortcuts.
That's what I'm saying.
If I will use
what
word.
About the government stepping in?
Well, government will tell you that work is in progress to ensure that traffic is reduced in Lagos. Of course, they are trying their best. But again, if government have a reason for restricting Okada,
yes, in those areas,
in some of these areas, which is also ideal. So I only feel that if government have reasons for restricting motorcyclists, that's popularly known as Okada, in some areas of the states, the reasons should be, you know, acceptable to the motorcyclists. and you can restrict yourself within that area that you think is lawful to carry out your business.
Sometimes we just have this thing with breaking laws.
Yes, of course. Again, most of these laws are even initiated by some who are working relatively with some of the security operatives, because they believe that as a security operative, you will not be liable. In fact, who are to enforce this law? Your colleagues. So seeing you trying to use the motorcycle, maybe you use it to come to work or thereabout.
Okay.
So when they are not on uniform, because they are security operatives, other users of the motorcycle, we tend to feel that, oh, some people are even using a motorcycle on these areas, not knowing that they are security operatives. So I feel that the law enforcers should not break the law, because unknown to them, they may be encouraging others to break the law. So if it is clearly stated that motorcycle or motorcyclists should not apply that road, it is not restricted alone, I don't think, for commercial motorcyclists. So unless the law says commercial motorcyclists.
They talk about commercial motorcycles.
And so if the law exempts those private users, if we use that word, then there should be a kind of identification, not by ID card, wearing something that the layman will see from afar, that these ones are the private motorcyclists. But of course, in Nigeria, we know how to beat corners.
That's the question
now,
I asked earlier. What is our problem with breaking the law in this part of the world?
Those who have that tag as private private motorcycle users will end up now be carrying passengers, because they have now gotten the license to apply that road. So I think if they are barring motorcycle users, nobody should use that road on motorcycle.
So you're telling the residents of that area not to have motorcycles?
No.
That's exactly we
what are talking about why the usage of motorcycle in areas where government have restricted or banned motorcycle users. Now, I try to go further. I've given instances why these guys do what they do. But I also now said that most times they see others applying that.
So you're saying private users should also be banned in those areas?
If the law must be effective.
Okay.
But if the law will not be made very effective, you can restrict commercial motorcyclists and then license private users.
Okay.
But my own challenge is if it will not be abused, because the private motorcyclists, you end up seeing them carrying passengers.
Okay.